afternoon and welcome to Coffee with a Kick. I, of course, am Xander, and he, of course, is Keegan, and it's down to crunch time. And to be frank, there is very little to play for going forward. Only one team has their destiny in their own hands, basically. And that would be Manchester City. But we'll get to that here, actually quite soon, because first up from this weekend was indeed the aforementioned Manchester City taking out Fulham, just exactly as I had predicted. I said it would be a 4-0 victory. It indeed ended up being 4-0, not quite 5-0. But I'll tell you one thing that we didn't get, is Josko Gvardiol getting a brace in this one.
Yeah, big time. Pep once called him a winger that just happened to play defense. So he showed that in this one. But yeah, I mean, light work. I would love to say that the red card mattered in the 90+5. Really didn't, except for the penalty. But yeah, it went the way that City wanted it to go, and that's all that matters.
And it keeps them, like I said, they have their destiny in hand. They have a match coming up here later today, which we will preview here in just a moment. They win that one. They're 2 points clear of Arsenal, and depending on how much they win by, could be clear even with a draw. But that will put things out of their hands. So they'd rather just win out and be fine. But before we get to that predictions section, we will go to the rest of those 8 matches from Saturday. Next up being Brentford and Bournemouth. Brentford taking down the Cherries 2-1 at Vitality Stadium, with it all happening rather late in the match. And even saying that is not hyperbolic enough. I mean, we had 0 goals up until the 86th, and then 3 between that and the end. So 3 goals to end the last 10 minutes of the match. Ended up being that neither of us got it right because of that WISA 90+5. So the truncated highlights just focus on the very end of the second half in this one. Not a lot of action prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, Wissa, what are you doing? I mean, I had 2-2. It wasn't going to be a perfect pick, but at least the tie would have gotten me in the range of being right. I mean, and Bournemouth, they had a chance to break into the top 10. They still technically do. But after losing this one, it's going to be, they need Brighton to basically not win again to break into top 10. I think that would be Bournemouth's highest finish ever. So really disappointing for me for them to really lose it there at the end. Yeah,
it was not the preferred method of ending that match, but you know, we can only do so much here at Coffee with a Kick. We'll move to another one that was much easier to pick, although it was it was more of a nail biter than we would have liked. Everton does defeat the relegated Sheffield United 1-0, which does break the record that we covered last week. They're now at 101 goals conceded. That is a Premier League record, and in fewer matches than the team that they had defeated on that, because they were 42 matches in that, as we covered last week. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin dishes out to Decore to put him up in the 31st, and then Everton essentially just kind of coasted from there. Again, Sheffield got 1 shot on goal, so it wasn't like there was a lot to do. Still, somehow Pickford gets man of the match in this one. But, you know, Sheffield is not good, and this one went the way we both thought it would, just not to the degree that we did predict.
How Pickford got man of the match with only 1 shot on target is kind of crazy. So unless he was just dealing incredible passes, how he got, I don't know. But yeah, Everton 1-0 feels like a nail biter, but Everton pretty much had this game controlled. Besides a couple of chances, Sheffield United looked very much like a championship side. Mm-hmm. And to your point, they've now broken the record. They are 3, if they lose by 3 or less goals in the final match week, they won't break the goal difference record. But if they lose by 4, they will also break that record. So fingers crossed that they get slaughtered in the end.
And Tottenham could really use that bounce back here with the way that their season's been going here in the past couple weeks. Luckily, though, I think they're not quite next up. We'll get to them here in just a second. Next up is Newcastle and Brighton Hove Albion, a 1-1 draw with all the action coming in the first half on this one. We both did get Sheffield right. We both got this one wrong because we thought Newcastle was back to form. Turns out they were kind of back to form. But not the Newcastle side that we've seen in the past 2 weeks or so that have been rather dominant. Granted, it was over lesser teams, except for that 4-0 victory over Tottenham. But Brighton hangs on and gets themselves up here. They can feel good about that.
Yeah, Brighton's defense has been on it the past 2 match weeks. I mean, 1-0 win last week, 1-1 this week against a pretty high-powered Newcastle offense as of late. So kudos to them. A little late for it to matter. But They're getting it. I mean, maybe they're figuring things out for next year. Who knows?
Yeah, see if they can put together a full season for once here. Then we get to Tottenham, who does dispatch Burnley, putting the boys there, the Burnley boys, out of contention for remaining up. They are now officially relegated thanks to an 82nd Van de Ven goal. 82nd minute Van de Ven goal. This kind of sums up the season for Burnley. They get an early-ish goal and then just let the other team hang around and get into it and end up taking away 3 points.
It's hard to see them go down. I really thought my pick was looking really good.
Yeah,
mean, 25th minute, they're actually rolling Tottenham. Like it was a convincing first 25 minutes. And then a former Manchester City player, Pedro Porro, had to just put in a goal in the 32nd minute. But even after that, I mean, once they creeped in like the 65th minute, it felt like Burnley players could feel they were losing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because before that, they were playing fine and they were possessing pretty well. But the last 30 minutes, Tottenham really dominated. So, I don't know. Burnley I don't want to say they gave up, but they kind of accepted their fate. But, man, it started off so well and then just plummeted pretty quickly after the goal.
We were feeling good about them maybe pulling it out, but yeah, it wasn't to be. I think they'll be back up next season. We'll see if they can. I think if they just congeal better as a team, and they need to get a true striker in there. They need to get somebody they can rely on for goals game in and game out. That was their big deficit this year, which is much more fixable than Sheffield's, which is replacing your entire back line with competent defenders. That's a much more difficult thing to do than just find somebody who can get you goals. On a semi-regular basis. We're not looking for a superstar here. We're looking for a competent goal scorer. So that's what Burnley will be looking for going forward. Sheffield, we just covered that. Another team that is all but relegated. I mean, all but... What was the phrase? The idiom escapes me at the moment. But West Ham takes care of Luton Town at London Stadium in a game we both predicted correctly. You actually had the correct goal spread, but it was 4-2 in your estimation. But leaving it, Luton, they were winning it for a long time. They were winning for more of this match than they were losing, basically. Or it's about 50-50. But they score in the 6th minute with Sambi Lokonga being assisted by Alfie Doty. And then West Ham takes over in the second half with a 54th, 75th, and 76th minute goal by Ward-Prowse, Susek, and Earthy, respectively, assisted by Kudus there in the last one. Thomas Susek. And Luton's only shot on goal was their goal, whereas West Ham ended up with 8 total. So it went the way that we thought it would. And Luton Town now technically not relegated. They are 3 points down on Nottingham Forest. However, Nottingham Forest has them by a 12-goal difference. So unless Nottingham loses by 6, or wins by 6, and Nottingham loses by 6, which seems unlikely considering that Nottingham is playing Burnley, this will be the penultimate match for Luton Town in the Premier League in the near future.
Yeah, second half looked a lot like I thought the whole game would turn out. But that halftime speech, David Moyes just saying, hey, lads, this is my last one. I'm not sure this is his accent, but this is my last one. So, I mean, he's playing City next week. He knows they're going to lose. But last home match, like I said, I think he'll be probably back in 6 months. But the players wanted to do it for him. They all like him. They came out. I think they got 7 of their 8 shots on target in the second half. So there was a clear intent in the second half to just put this one away, get a victory, let the bubbles blow. And that's what they did.
And get one for the Gipper before he's gone. We'll see. We'll see if your prediction comes back. I don't know how many units you get for predicting a hiring of a manager halfway through a season, but we'll cross that bridge if we come to it. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Then we're not quite wrap it up. We have Wolves. Saturday, that is. We have still several matches to go before then. But Wolves, my Wolves, Fortress Molyneux has been breached. It is a 3-1 victory for Crystal Palace. Exactly what you said it would be. But we did go ahead and get our goal. Mateus Cunha continues to come through for us here in the late parts of the season. But Palace continues to roll, man, with all 3 of their big boys up top, Olise, Mateta, and Eze, getting in on the action here. Spreading across, and it was just a very solid victory by Crystal Palace. Something that we haven't seen from them a lot this season up until the past couple months, past 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves had plenty of chance to get back into it. 66-minute goal. They, even after that, before Eze scored, they still had a couple of chances, but once Eze put in that third one, kind of felt like the Burnley game, let's just kind of accept our fate. I didn't really feel like after that Wolves looked as invigorated as they did the rest of the match. But I thought Mateta would score. I thought Olise would get 2. He only got 1. But c'est la vie. Crystal Palace playing out of their minds. I saw a table that had Arsenal, City, Liverpool, and then Crystal Palace as the 4th team on the table with the most points since the turn of the new year. So they would be top 4 had they been playing like this all year.
Really? I mean, most of that will be coming in the last couple match days. Going back to April 14th, they're undefeated in 5 with 4 of those being victories. Undefeated in 6 with 4 of those being victories over good teams. I mean, they beat Liverpool in that time. They beat Newcastle, West Ham, Man U. They just beat my Wolves, and they drew, oddly enough, Fulham 1-1. I remember because I picked them in that one, and they decided to not be as good as they have been. So
I think it was they've had 29 points since the turn of the new year, which is pretty impressive.
I mean, considering that they're sitting on how many
46.
Sitting on 46. So that's only 17 of your points came before the turn of the year, and that's not even the halfway point of the season. Season technically halfway point hits before the end of the year. So we will then move on from there to one we both got correct. Nottingham Forest does fall to Chelsea. Almost everything set up the way that we wanted to for the last match day, but of course Burnley did lose. This one, though, was closer than we thought. Chelsea only winning 3-2 here, and being down going into the 80th minute. They had to bounce back with some vigor at the very end to get full points here.
Yeah, Chelsea did not look good in a majority of this match, but they were good when it mattered. Sterling's goal, fine. Jackson's goal, I think really caught him off guard. I think Nottingham was just trying to figure out, do we want to play for the win? Do we want to play for the draw? And then Jackson just pounces and scores. But, yeah, Nottingham looked really good. Yeah. Maybe, someone whispered on the sideline, hey, Tottenham scored. We're good. Maybe that happened. I don't know if that stuff happens. But it kind of felt like after the 82nd minute goal, Nottingham was like, we'll just figure it out later. So, but kudos to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Yeah, another team that has really righted the ship here in the last month or so. Wow, really? I mean, they've been doing pretty. They've only lost once since February 12th, so they've been playing. They've gotten things together. I mean, that was a 5-0 drubbing to Arsenal, but still, they've been doing quite well since then. And they are still theoretically in contention for getting that Europa League spot. They're 6 points down to Tottenham, but Tottenham plays City, and who do they wrap up with at the last match day? I don't have that in front of me at this exact second, but I'm sure I can find it shortly. And Newcastle also 6 points down, but they also have 2 matches left. So really, that Europa League spot is still up for grabs.
Yeah, Tottenham plays Sheffield, so
they
they might wrap that spot up.
They might be able to wrap that up. It'd be odd for them to lose to Sheffield in the last match day, so they should be feeling all right about that. Maybe looking at that Champions League spot, because if they somehow beat City on later today, which I doubt.
Don't say it.
Well, so you got to speak it.
Don't say it.
But that seems unlikely as well. Anyways, we will go ahead, and that finally wraps up our Saturday action. All 8 of those matches. Then we move over to Sunday, which had the single match of Manchester United hosting Arsenal. I got this one correct. No, I didn't. Neither of us got this one correct. I thought it would be a draw. You thought that Man U would win. It ended up being a rather dull affair, with Arsenal winning on a 20th minute Trossard goal. They had some additional chances. There were a couple of pepperings by Man U, but not a lot of shots on goal in this one. Not a very scintillating match for our solo Sunday action.
Yeah, I mean, Man United was about as good as a pool floating with a ton of holes in it. I mean, they were just sinking. It was bad. They had several chances where, I mean, they were right in front of the goal, and they just shoot it wide. Not even on target. Shoot it wide. And this could have been worse, but Onana really came to save the day. Like, I think had Onana been playing like he is now in the early parts of the season, Man U's probably in Champions League football.
Yeah.
But either way, it's been tough to watch Man U play. And if Ten Hag doesn't get sacked after this one, they might just be waiting until the end of the season. But man.
Yeah, it's so strange that Onana is playing so well now, because all we've talked about him all season is how he's had costly mistakes for Man U. So to kind of flip the script on us here at the end is very strange by Man U. I don't appreciate it.
He's playing for a job.
I guess so. And then we go to Monday, yesterday, a 3-3 thriller, I guess, between Aston Villa and Liverpool. I mean, there's a lot of it all happened very late for Aston Villa to come back into this one after overcoming an own goal in the 2nd minute. They come back and draw in the 12th. Then Liverpool works their way back in front with 23rd and 48th, and then John Duran with 2 goals in 3 minutes, 85th and 88th minute, to pull level. We both got this one correct, but definitely more exciting than we thought it would be.
If I ever thought someone was trying to fix a match during a game, it was when Martinez let in the own goal.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not, but the way he flailed his arm and then it looked like he just pushed the ball into the net, I mean, it can't start worse. But you're right. Duran comes on in the 78th minute. McAllister gives the ball away. It was right near the top of the box, puts it in. Second one, probably going to end up being the goal of the season just because of how lucky it was.
Yeah.
What's his face? Diaby gets the ball, plays probably the worst through ball I've ever seen, but it hits Duran perfectly in stride off his thigh, and it goes near upper 9. So that ties it. And then Diaby had a chance there, 90+3, and it just barely clips off of Allison's shoulder. But I really thought Aston Villa, the way they played at the end, they deserved to win. Because Liverpool, I mean, they fell apart. I thought they were going to lose. Once Diaby missed it, it was kind of, all right, let's just play it out. But I think it was a thriller. Yeah. Mainly because my little brother had a bet on the game that Aston Villa would win or draw. So he was pretty pumped that they came back.
Definitely.
Almost won. Almost won.
Almost came through, but hey, he picked win or draw, so that's the same in his books. In the end, and that is the match day that was the action that was match day 37. That's probably a better way to put it. With not a lot of movement on the board here. I don't know if we had some shakeup there in the middle of the pack, with Brighton moving up into 10th, Bournemouth moving down, Palace moving up to 12th, and my Wolves and Fulham dropping below there. It's been a tough couple months for my Wolves there. Not a lot of green in that recent sketchy. But we'll move on to the match later today. Manchester City goes to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at 3 p.m. this afternoon and plays for it all. I mean, if they can win here, then it puts them in the catbird seat, we'll say, for the last match day to take home the Premier League hardware. How do you think this one goes?
Oh man, I'm going to try to be unbiased here with all bias. I think the way that Tottenham has been playing is pretty poor. Like Tottenham, I don't think they know what their identity is right now. Mm-hmm. Like Maddison was hurt for a while. He came back. Yep. They had 2 good games. And it's been 6 or 7 matches since they've looked like a good team before the 70th minute. They've had a couple games where like they've saved themselves or like saved the goal difference at the end. But I mean, they just don't look like a team that knows what they want. And at this point, they feel like they're out of the Champions League action. Mm-hmm. Not totally, but 5 points down to Aston Villa. It feels like you're done. Do they want to play in the Europa League? I don't think they do. And I think inevitably they will because they play Sheffield United. Yeah. But it's one of those things where you were so close. It's like getting second, like getting third place in the Olympics. It's like, that's cool. I got a medal. Second place? Oh, you were so close to first. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a good match. I think ultimately it ends 3-1 Man City. I think, as my younger brother puts, Tottenham is our kryptonite. And I always put, when they had Pochettino. Mm. They don't have Pochettino anymore. They don't have Harry Kane anymore. And Heung-min Son, we're kind of seeing that he needs that like frontman leader to really open up his game. They don't have that. So I'm going 3-1. City's rolling. Tottenham isn't. Momentum is on City's side. So 3-1.
I've got a little bit more of a nail biter. I've got it as a 3-2 victory for City. I think Tottenham goes up early by 2 goals, and City has to really put everything on their back. And
wow, you're going 2 years ago title, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be thrilling. It's gonna be a nail biter here coming down into the last match day. But I think City does
speak that into existence. I don't like it.
City is really good. I think that they have. I mean, their performance since the beginning of the year has shown that they are always a team to contend with in their current formulation. I mean, there would have to be a lot of changes for them to not be in the title race every year at this point. Even if Pep leaves, I mean, the talent still around is so vast. I mean, you might start seeing like the same squad from one week to the next, which who knows, maybe that would work better than Pep's continual chemical
we keep winning titles, so whatever he does, I'm fine with.
Cool. If it's working, it's working, even if it's a different thing every time. But we'll see. I think they get it done here. I forgot to go ahead and do a wrap up for the actual match day itself. I went 5-5. You went 6-4. Favorites went 7-3. So I did end up losing on units to picking the favorites. They were 8.27 to the 7.25 of mine. You, however, did overcome the odds and ended up with an 11.51, aided by your perfect pick there for my Wolves falling to Crystal Palace 3-1. That boost there for the perfect pick puts you over the top. So, good job. Kudos to you. You continue to dominate the Premier League units board. You've cleared me by 80 points at this point. So it's actually 79. But, I'll round up for you in that instance. Anyways, that goes to that takes care of the rest of that, and now we're to the second set of matches here for Wednesday. Brighton hosts Chelsea, and Manchester United hosts Newcastle United. I think that in this one, since you started with the Tottenham one, I think Chelsea keeps rolling. I don't see any reason why not. I think it'll be a little bit closer because they are at the Amex. I think it goes 2-1 here for Brighton and Chelsea. And then for United and Newcastle, boy, I don't know. United, they're at home. They haven't played flawlessly at home this season. So I don't know that Newcastle could still theoretically get that Europa League because they've got a way better goal difference than Tottenham. So I think they're still playing for something. I think that one goes 2-0. And that may put the nail in the coffin for Ten Hag if they drop 2-0, a goose egg at home. That'd be pretty tough for him to overcome.
Yeah, looking at the table, so sixth place still gets into that new Europa Conference League. So there is something to play for there. Will teams care to play in it? I don't know. But I think Newcastle is just the better team. Man U has had so many 1-0 wins, 2-1 wins. I just think Newcastle, besides last week, they're playing really well. So I'm going to go Newcastle winning. I'll go 2-0. Mm-hmm. I don't think Man U scores on them. I'll go 2-0.
Another Dos Acero. And then for BHA and Chelsea?
I think Chelsea is going to feel really good about potentially getting into the Europa League. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it would take Tottenham losing to Sheffield United, which would be the biggest blunder possibly in Premier League history. But with that, Brighton's playing good defensively. I think Chelsea just has a bit more youth, a bit more spring. Mm-hmm. I think Chelsea wins 3-1.
Yep. All right. And we will see how that all shakes out here in these next 2 days. Today and tomorrow, that is. And we'll be back on the other side of that. But before we go, we do have to get our trivia question for the week. What do you have for us here, Keegan?
It's with the end of the season coming down to the line. I wanted to do a closest Premier League title victory ever. So the question is, what year?
Oh, okay.
And it can be season, so like 09-10, or just the year that it happened in the spring. Mm-hmm. But what year was the closest Premier League title race?
What year was the closest Premier League title race? If you got a guess, go ahead and drop it in the comments below with your timestamp, and we will come back to this next episode here later this week. But what was the year of the closest Premier League title race?
Yep.
I think it's going to be modern-ish, pretty recent, I think. But we'll see. I may be wrong. I may be forgetting one that was closer. Anyway, before we get to that, though, we do have to watch these episodes. So until we see you then, why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer,